Welcome to the Mixology Talk podcast.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Julia, and we're the folks behind abarabove.com, the ultimate resource for craft bartenders, bar operators, and just about anybody else looking to make great craft drinks.
I'm a bar consultant with more than 10 years of industry experience.
And I run abarabove.com, bringing weekly articles and cocktail recipes to help you make great drinks and grow your career behind the bar. This is episode number 108, and this week we're talking about drama.
Oh my God, drama.
Wow, that was really good. You got your drama voice down.
Oh, years of drama practice.
Drama practice?
Yes.
Or gossip?
Yes, that too.
It is perhaps a little bit inevitable in the hospitality industry that you're going to run into some drama behind the bar. But today we're going to talk about some suggestions for avoiding it, some suggestions for stopping it, and especially some suggestions for not spreading it further.
Oh my God, that reminds me of a story.
No, we're not doing that.
So, we all know this. It's just part of our industry. It's only a matter of time until you're going to run into drama either behind the bar, in your restaurant, because
with your guests,
because life happens and we're kind of right in the middle of it all.
Also, did you hear about the thing the GM did last week?
Oh my God, I know, right?
I cannot believe that.
Who does that?
I know. See, it's easy.
Oh, and it's so fun to talk about sometimes.
It's human nature. I think that's part of the challenge, right? Humans love gossip. I don't know if that came from the villages that we all descended from, but either way, it feels good to gossip. Really be a very negative thing for the bar environment.
Yeah, it could get to a point where it's really kind of toxic, and then you start to get a lot of emotion around just things.
It's all bad.
Yeah, it can really unravel a team really quickly. So today we're going to be focusing on drama and how to avoid it. And we're going to do our best, but we're going to try
not to gossip too much.
I'm going to try to restrain myself
it's
because
be tough.
I'm such a drama queen.
You are a drama queen. You're a little gossip. But yeah, the nature of the hospitality industry, I think kind of attracts a little bit more drama than other industries. This is my case. Chris, you can agree or disagree.
Politics?
Well,
that's all I'm
true.
saying. I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah, you can just leave that there. Not every industry. I don't know. I feel like welders probably don't gossip as much as bartenders. But...
Oh my God, Steve. Did you see how he welds those rivets? I know. Can you believe it? Oh my God. Who taught him how to weld rivets?
I'm speechless.
We could do this all day long.
This is going to be the longest, worst podcast ever. The point I was going to try to make was that bartending attracts social people. Bartending attracts the kind of people who are going to want to have a conversation with you. That's a good thing. If you are a bartender and you don't like people, you're probably going to have a pretty short career and you're not going to make very much money.
Worst bartender ever.
Yeah. Did you hear about John? He was like that.
Oh, I know. Seriously. And look what happened to him. Can you believe it?
Okay, I promise we'll stop. But I think the other thing also that Chris was mentioning is that bartending also has a good amount of downtime when you're not necessarily in front of a customer.
Right. And like in our normal day, we come in, it's kind of a slow, start to the day, and it takes a little while to kind of get ramped up to full speed. And during that time, you're doing side work, you're cleaning stuff, you're getting your mise en place set up for the bar shift.
And you're not in front of the guest yet, right?
No. Well, in short bursts, some places are, some places aren't. It really depends on your bar. But no matter what, there's a lot of time because people don't flood into bars at 5 o'clock when your shift starts and just are ready to be 3 deep at a bar. So it just takes time, and
which that time can sort of breed this kind of conversation. It's very easy to be like, oh, what happened last night? Did you hear this rumor? Did you hear that rumor? It may or may not be true, but it's kind of low hanging fruit. Like, you don't need to have any common interests to gossip.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know anything about sports. So if somebody were to start talking about sports, it would go completely over my head. But Steve, the welder, oh my God. Anyways.
I don't think we know anyone named Steve.
I don't think so.
Certainly not any welders named. If there are any welders named Steve out there,
we're totally talking about you.
Feel free to shoot us an email.
Just kidding.
Sorry. I apologize, Steve.
Yeah.
But it really is human nature. And so that's why we're going to talk about drama today, a little bit of how you can avoid it behind the bar, because it stinks. It can be really negative for us on your shift.
It really can be. And all joking aside, it's kind of typically with drama is always at someone else's expense. And that's when it can become really dangerous and really kind of just mean. So if you're talking about somebody and either, something they did wrong or a scenario they kind of got wrapped up in, the other person receiving that information and hearing that rumor is going to kind of change the viewpoint of how they see people, how they see that person. Even if they're like, oh no, I don't believe it, there's always that kind of question in the back of their head. And it could be something very harmless, but even still, you start to hear this over and over again, then it can definitely taint your viewpoint on somebody.
Yeah, I know some people think that maybe drama is like just part of the job. It's not that big of a deal. But I would actually disagree. I do think, like to Chris's point, it's often at somebody's expense. Even if it's just a guest, that's not a good thing. If you hear something juicy about Jenny the regular who walked in and told you something and you spread it to the rest of your bar team, it may influence how they serve her next time. And at the very least, you're absolutely being, in my opinion, unprofessional. I think the role of a bartender is to bring a fantastic guest experience. And if Jenny the regular were to find out that you said that, would she feel like she had a fantastic guest experience?
Yeah, there's one thing I've been thinking about during this whole conversation is sometimes it's just a matter of like, hey, heads up, Tim comes in here, he has too many drinks, and he walks out on his tab.
That's different. Though. Yeah.
That's not drama. That's just kind of what happens.
Well, and that's a good point, though, is like, where's that line, though? I mean, what if some older gentleman regular comes in with a different young lady every single day?
Oh my God, it reminds me of a story, and I'm not joking.
This is real?
Oh, no, this is totally real. We had a game, and this is not going to be aligned at all with this podcast about not being dramatic.
So in other words, you're just telling a story of drama that you spread.
It's so good. I think I started a game called Daughter or... Well, just let your imagination run with that one.
Daughter or Date?
Daughter or Date. Let's call it that. Daughter or Date. So that was the game we played from time to time behind the bar.
The real question is how you validated the correct answer.
Public displays of affection were kind of the line.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
So, which was always a fun game to play, but clearly stirring the pot of the drama. So this brings up a really good point. Drama is usually kind of negative, and especially when it's at somebody else's expense. That's when it becomes really kind of toxic. And if you hear something about another person, even if you don't believe it, it kind of changes how you view that person next time you come in contact with them. So it could be, and if you hear it enough times, it could be really kind of damaging on how you view this person overall.
Absolutely. And not only that, but I mean, I think gossip and drama and all of this, it's just a bad thing in general for you as a bartender, because in my opinion, it makes you look very unprofessional. First of all, you may get a reputation for being a gossip, which, I mean, that's not the end of the world, but as we talked about, reputations go very, very quickly in this industry because of gossip, now that I think about it. But if you have a reputation for being a gossip, for being somebody who spreads drama, and you want to be considered for a bar manager position, it's not going to look good. It's really not. If you're going to be in charge of people, they're going to have a hard time respecting you if you've got a reputation for spreading rumors.
Yeah, exactly. To Julie's point, if you're that person, and as an owner or as a general manager, I look at those qualifications, like who are you? How do you operate? What are some of the values that you have? And I know that you're a gossip. I'm basically promoting that inside of my culture and my bar team.
That's true. You're telling your bar team that that's acceptable behavior.
Exactly. And one thing we talked about earlier off this podcast was the fact that people start to get reputations in this industry, and it's a very small industry. And this has happened to me many times where, somebody I worked with in the past has come in to where I've worked, applied for a job, and then my manager asked me like, hey, by the way, you worked with this person. What do you think? And, if they had a great reputation, solid hire, but there's always people that are just kind of too focused on the drama, and it gets so kind of away, and it just kind of becomes a cancer in the bar or restaurant. It is our role and our responsibility to kind of bring that up to, like, they weren't the best fit. This is why. Where's that
line, though? I mean, let me ask you this. Let's say that you know about Joe, the bartender, and you've heard rumors of things he does after hours. I mean, in my mind, if a manager asks you, hey, should I hire Joe or not? Your responsibility is to tell him what you know, but not spread those rumors, right?
Well, and I think it's more along the lines of not spreading rumors. Like, you have to have first-hand knowledge on it, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you've just heard a rumor that Joe likes to show up drunk, but you've never seen it,
right,
then don't say that.
Right, exactly. And I think also, think about it, about how it's going to affect your work and your team. And if it doesn't have any bearing on that, like, oh yeah, maybe he likes to take a week off every year and go camping somewhere, or he gets really trashed on his day off, but he is amazing when he comes into work. That doesn't really have any insight. It doesn't belong in.
Yeah, if he has a reputation for dating a certain stereotype of woman or something, like, who cares?
Right.
Whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's, again, going back to professionalism. And I think there is a little bit of a thin line, especially when a manager is actually asking you about somebody else's reputation. In my mind, you owe it to your team to say something if you have concerns, but you need to rely on firsthand experience. Otherwise, again, you run the risk of being that rumor mill and adding to that negativity.
Right. And as I keep saying, and I've said this pretty much since the beginning of this podcast, is your reputation really is kind of your
resume
card. It really is. And if you have a bad reputation, it's going to be really hard for you to get a good job after not too many years.
And it's going to be really hard to fix it.
Yeah, it's
really
is.
hard to fix a reputation. So the moral of the story here is, yeah, I get it. Like, the reality of this job is that people talk, because you are social people and you're in a room together. People are going to talk.
And you're having 1,000 conversations a day.
Absolutely. And you hear things, and that's just the nature of it. But I think that what we are saying here is to be the filter, to be maybe a little bit more professional and help sort of quell the rumors that are unjustified. And frankly, even if you have firsthand knowledge of something awful that Joe the bartender did, if he does roll up drunk or whatever, consider the value in spreading that information. Are you making your bar a more positive environment by telling everybody about that? It's one thing if Joe the bartender walks into his shift to relieve you and he's drunk, or if he's not in a state where he can actually do his job, then that's a case where you may actually want to discreetly tell management about that situation, because it needs to be addressed.
Or, if this is kind of an outlier, another thing you could do to say, hey, look, Joe, I don't have anything going on. Why don't you go home? I'll cover the shift and just, come back next time. There's always a couple of different ways to handle the scenario.
But needlessly spreading the story to everybody at the bar later on, that's unnecessary, unprofessional, and it doesn't make you look good.
Right, exactly.
Plus, it's toxic for the bar culture. I think that's sort of the next bullet point that I was thinking, is talking negatively about people, whether they're guests, whether they're coworkers, teammates, other people in the industry. You don't want to get a reputation for being a negative person either.
Well, and I think that anybody that's in the industry and has worked in the industry long enough, they know people like this. They can resonate with this and say, oh my God, I really don't like working with this one person because they're so negative about everything. I remember, and I'm not trying to spread rumors, but I remember cases like this where somebody would complain about something like behind a manager's back. Manager would fix the problem, and then the person would complain about the fix. So it was one of those things. It's like, I get it. You have maybe a concern that you want to fix, but now it's just a matter of, I'm always looking for something negative to talk about. And that is just so draining emotionally. And especially if you're going to be in front of customers and you want to kind of create this cool experience for them, that just like saps your energy right away.
Yeah, the last thing you're going to want to do is go in front of a customer and give them a fantastic experience if you're feeling this negativity from a coworker.
Exactly. And, hearing it over and over and over again throughout the day, it gets overwhelming, and it's really hard to deal with and just extremely distracting.
So how do you avoid drama? I mean, I think this is easier said than done. I mean, we all had all these conversations, in high school, but it didn't work then.
Right, exactly. So. And I think the reality of it is it's all about balance. Drama is going to happen in our industry no matter what. And a little bit of it can be a little bit exciting. Spreading it, definitely not a great thing, but it is always going to be a part of this industry. Just about any industry.
Exactly. And I think to your point earlier, I mean, the word drama is so subjective, and we're kind of making some assumptions about what it means.
Right.
But what if you were to spread positive news about somebody? Is that drama? I don't think so. I feel like that's a good thing. I don't know. Hey, did you hear that Joe got married last weekend? That's awesome. Congratulations, Joe. I don't know. I feel like that.
But did you hear about his wife? Oh my God. I'm kidding.
I guess I kind of asked for that. But I mean, my point is, if we are trying to uplift our industry, support our coworkers and all that sort of thing, then spread the positivity, be that voice, like be the positive. I mean, if bringing some who have a reputation in the industry of being a professional and being a positive person, that's a great reputation to have.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
But if somebody comes up to you and they're bringing some drama,
Bringing the drama,
what do you do?
There's a lot of ways. Deflection is obviously the easy.
I mean, I usually go with
thing.
talk to the hand.
Oh my God, I know, right? Is usually what I say. Tell me more. What else? Oh my God.
Then what happened?
Can you believe that? And then after all that stops in about half an hour.
Now I'm understanding your cell phone bills.
Oh, I know, right? All seriousness, though, like deflection is a really good way. Like, take in the information, hear him out, don't blow him off, and don't shut him down. But when it's time, just kind of gracefully change the subject of something different. Maybe it's sports. Maybe it's a new restaurant that you went to, or a new cocktail that you tried and developed, and stuff like that.
Hey, did you hear about management was considering my idea about making our own orgeat?
Yeah,
there's so much you have in common. You work together, for darn sake.
Right. And so, change the subject. You do this enough times, people are going to get the memo. And then, they're going to start rumors about you like, oh, did you hear about Tom? He doesn't like drama. And that'll be good.
And that's pretty much the end of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Worst rumor ever.
Yeah. Right. Boring. But I think one of the other ways is don't be the person spreading it.
Exactly. It's like a virus, right? Like it stops spreading, it stops.
A delicious, juicy, tantalizing virus.
Starting to have some concerns about you.
But
Thank goodness we didn't go to high school together. Oh my gosh. But seriously, don't spread the rumor. And again, this kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about like, if you don't know that it's true, don't say it. If it's negative, don't say it. Consider the circumstances. Is there a reason for you to spread that rumor, or are you just enjoying the juiciness of it? I mean, one of the things that you do hear about is, I'm just going to call you out right now. Chris would come home and he would tell me all this gossip about his regulars.
Oh, yeah.
And I totally enjoyed hearing it. I'm not going to lie. But it makes me wonder, like, if you're talking to your coworkers, telling them this juicy gossip about your regulars, like, and then they go to serve them next time, it's going to color their experience, right?
And to be fair, I only share that with you because obviously we're married. And
I publish it all on the internet.
Oh my God.
No, I didn't.
Seriously, have you seen the new page?
No, I certainly everything ended with me. Well, I didn't have anybody to tell, and they couldn't care less.
Right, exactly. So I kind of knew that was kind of a dead end anyways. So, I could share how my day went because that's kind of part of a relationship.
It absolutely, and the other thing is, which I completely get, is like, it's a stressful job, and like sharing gossip can kind of let off steam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, you would not believe what Jenny Regular did today, blah, 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 or whatever.
Right.
I get it. I don't mean to call you out because I think we're all absolutely guilty of this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you can just see, and especially in a bar environment where they're a regular, they're going to come back tomorrow. You could definitely color their experience by spreading rumors about them.
Right. And I remember towards the end of when I was tending bar, I was really focused, and didn't want to get caught up in the drama because there was always drama and there was always rumors happening. And so what I did is, I was morning bartender, so I would actually get in early, get all my production stuff done, set my mise en place, syrups, all that stuff. But I would wear headphones the entire time, and sometimes I wouldn't even have anything on.
Oh, really?
Just to black out people from talking to me.
Wait a minute, you wear headphones a lot around me.
So, anyways, but. It was just one of those ways of like, you're sending the clear signal of I'm focused, I'm doing my work, and I just kind of want to get my stuff done.
Yeah, that's a tough one though, because on the other hand, at the place that you were in your career, you weren't looking to sort of build further relationships at that particular job. Whereas other people who are looking to build and grow their careers, like you can't just not have conversations.
No, it's true.
You got to network, you got to build those relationships. So I think use that one perhaps sparingly, or perhaps just in the right circumstances. If you're in a super negative, toxic bar and you're just like biding your time till you can get out,
you're kind of over it, yeah.
Which absolutely happens. We have definitely gotten emails about people in really negative situations.
Actually, that's kind of how this whole thing started.
It did.
This conversation
started. It was somebody who emailed us and basically said, like, help, how do I extract myself from the drama? I think that situation was a almost front of house versus back of house situation.
It was pretty intense. And not to spread the rumor.
No names will be discussed.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate scenario they were in, and they kind of asked for our advice. And that's kind of what spurred this whole conversation about how to avoid drama and what to do, basically.
And it is really tough. I mean,
it is.
Sometimes you're just working in a negative place and it's too far gone, and you got to get out and save yourself before you turn negative.
Exactly. And I think that's it. Is it worth staying, or is it kind of time to look around? Is this something you can just talk about and kind of get through? Or do you just kind of have to go?
And in my mind, a good question, if you're wondering if you're in that position or not, take a look at management. Are they trying to solve the problem? Are they trying to make it a more positive place to work? Or are they spreading it? Are they making it worse? Are they, I mean, like we talked about earlier in this episode, what is the example that they are setting for the folks that work for them? Because if they're setting an example that it's fine to just talk bad about people all the time and be super negative, then it's not going to get better.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But yeah, I think there's a lot of obvious things to do. And by all means, the earbud thing is basically...
That's kind of
you're shutting everybody out.
It's the nuclear option. It's an
really
option,
is.
But you're definitely not going to be building stronger relationships with your coworkers if you have earbuds in all the time.
Yeah, and I mean...
Plus, I mean, it's really hard for your guests to place an order.
It's true.
Yeah.
They have to text you.
They just shout it at you. Hello, I'd like to place an order.
Yep. So if you're a bar that has this problem and it's steeped in drama and it's getting super toxic, what are a couple ideas that could help?
So I think there's kind of a couple different positions here. I mean, we could just jump straight to the nuclear option, and that is like, survey your surroundings. If it ain't getting better and nobody cares to make it better, you probably just need to think about going somewhere else. Yeah. You're going to be shoveling the ocean at that point, even if you did everything possible to try to reduce the drama with yourself. If nobody else is fighting with you, I think it's probably a losing battle.
Yeah.
Not to be negative, haha, but I think that there's a certain degree of choosing your battles.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So then, that being said,
or you could start a whole rumor mill about one person and just like...
Just start rumors about yourself. I heard he is awesome.
Oh my God, he is so handsome.
I don't think that works as a rumor.
Damn. Okay. Well, clearly I am not good at the drama. Hopefully by the end of this podcast, I'll get the hang of it.
You'll get some practice.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're at the bar. You've decided you're going to stay. You're going to tough it out. And you're going to try to actually help fix the situation because hopefully you're not alone. What can you do? Well, first of all, like we talked about earlier, just check yourself. It is so easy to get drawn into this. It's so easy to listen into the stories with wide eyes, oh, then what happened? Then what happened? Yeah, it's human nature. It's tough to go against. But if you can just keep an eye on yourself, try to change the topic like we talked about. Try to get out of those conversations. Try to talk positively about people. Be a source of positivity behind your bar. These are all ways that you can help make the difference, just starting with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that.
And now what if you're a manager? Let's say you're the manager of a bar and you're starting to see some drama fly around and it's not looking good and you want to kind of nip it in the bud. Any suggestions?
Well, I think to the points that we're continuing to make is obviously lead by example. Be that person that doesn't do that and hold other people accountable to that kind of standard as well. Call it out like, hey, if you see a bunch of people just kind of chatting around in a restaurant environment, there's always that saying, time to lean, time to clean. Send them all off to separate side work and just kind of break up the little gossip party. If you know there's a couple people that are super negative,
it might be time to talk with them about
that. Yeah, it might be time
to
pull them aside and be fair, be open about it and say, look, man, I notice you're in a difficult position right now. Is everything okay?
Yeah, address the negativity with positivity. Support them. Yeah. I mean, maybe there's something you can actually fix.
Yeah, and we don't know what's going on with people's lives, and we only see them when we work with them, and there could be anything else happening. So giving them the benefit of the doubt by saying, okay, I'm human, you're human. Let's try to communicate and see what's going on. And if there's something deeper, obviously you want to help them.
And if they're just a negative person who's spreading rumors, call it out. Just be like, hey, I'm a little bit concerned about the negativity that I'm seeing from you.
Julia told me the other day that she saw you do this thing.
We should totally go back to high school. We would ace it now.
I know. Seriously. Oh my God.
Oh my. What do the kids say nowadays? Like,
I have no idea.
We're NorCal, so do they still say hella? I don't know.
Oh, I have no idea.
We're so uncool.
I know, seriously.
Anyway, never mind about the high school thing. But my point is really just like, if they're doing something wrong behind it, if they're not following policy, if they're showing up late for their shift, you would have to have a conversation with them about that. Well, this is equally damaging for your bar, if not more so. Have the conversation, have the guts to have the conversation, and just call it out and make some suggestions like, hey, let's focus on positivity. Let's focus on talking about things that actually matter. Let's, only spread things that we know are true. That kind of stuff. It sounds a little bit like grade school, but
well, and this is something that I've actually helped a couple of my clients with in the past, just because it is such a big part of our industry. And there was one thing I would always tell them: if you notice it as continuously a problem, see if you can fix it before it starts. So take it all the way back to the interview. See if you can filter that out before they ever become part of your team. If there's ever any circumstances or problems that continuously arise, it could probably be addressed at the training or the hiring phase.
I wonder, because you often have, and I would imagine that common hiring questions would be things like, tell me about a situation where X, Y, or Z happened, right? Could you ask a question like, tell me about a difficult customer and how you dealt with it? I would imagine their answer to that question could really quickly tell you if they're like a total gossip or not.
Yeah, and I think this is probably one of the harder things to do with interview questions is make it so they don't give you back the information they think you just want to hear. Right,
that's very true.
Because it's...
What's the best rumor you've ever heard behind the bar?
Tell me the juiciest thing you've ever heard.
I want to hear it.
Oh my God.
I heard you used to work for Joe.
How's he? Oh
my God.
God.
What's he really like?
Is he really that bad of a welder?
That was Steve.
Oh, Steve.
Joe was the bartender. Steve was the welder.
This is why I'm not good at drama.
And I think Jenny was the regular.
Everybody just looks at me all confused like, what?
What?
You're not making any sense.
But Steve the welder might also be a regular.
He could be. You don't know.
I heard he's hooking up with Jenny. I think we're beating this one to death, but I think you're getting the point. And it starts with you. I think overall, again and again, positivity, like focus on the positive, support your coworkers. We're all in this together.
Right.
If you're 3 deep, they are 3 deep too.
Right. And I mean, I think the moral of this whole story for me is this is a really fun job. We get paid to have parties all the time.
So true.
Why focus on negative stuff? Like really focus on the positive stuff. And it's just so much more interesting and so much more fun.
And if there's something wrong, don't talk about it, fix it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing
Girl.
right there. Like, oh my God.
I don't know where that came from.
Oh, that was good though. It was great.
Thanks. I've been practicing for my return to high school.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. So yeah, fix it. I think we could have summed up the entire podcast in like 3 seconds.
It would have been a lot shorter.
But not as fun. So yeah, that pretty much nails it for us. We're done.
Well, that is definitely enough drama for one day. I hope you were able to get a few useful tips from this somewhat ridiculous episode. By the way, if you are enjoying the podcast, would you mind leaving us a review in iTunes? It makes us feel better about ourselves and helps other people find the podcast. So it's a win-win. As always, you can find the show notes at mixologytalk.com/108. We'll catch you in the next episode. Cheers.
Never miss an episode by subscribing in iTunes or YouTube. And as always, check out the show notes by clicking on the right.